As you reach the scene, if personnel are at the scene and using the incident command/management system, follow the instructions of the person in charge. This may involve the positioning of the ambulance, wearing protective equipment and apparel, determining where to find the patients, or being aware of specific hazards. The incident commander may be able to provide you with life-saving information regarding unstable conditions, such as the stability of a building or the possibility of structural collapse. Don appropriate protective apparel, including head protection, a bunker coat or similar clothing that will protect you from sharp edges, and an ANSI-approved reflective vest that goes over your coat. You should have extrication gloves easily available in your pocket. When temperature and weather are significant factors, be sure to protect yourself with clothing that will keep you dry and at the appropriate temperature. Sniff for odors such as gasoline or diesel fuel or any unusual odor that may signal a hazardous material release. Establishing the danger zone. A danger zone exists around the wreckage of every vehicle collision, within which special safety precautions must be taken. The size of the zone depends on the nature and severity of collision-produced hazards. An ambulance should never be parked within the danger zone. Follow these guidelines in establishing the danger zone. When there are no apparent hazards. In this case, consider the danger zone to extend at least 50 feet in all directions from the wreckage. The ambulance will be away from broken glass and other debris, and it will not impede emergency service personnel who must work in or around the wreckage. When using highway flares to protect the scene, make sure that the person igniting them has been trained in the proper technique. When fuel has been spilled. In this case, consider the danger zone to extend a minimum of 100 feet in all directions from the wreckage and fuel. In addition to parking outside the danger zone, park upwind if possible. Note the direction of the wind by observing flags, smoke, and so on. Thus, the ambulance will be out of the path of dense smoke if the fuel ignites. If fuel is flowing away from the wreckage, park uphill as well as upwind. If parking uphill is not possible, position the ambulance as far from the flowing fuel as possible. Avoid gutters, ditches, and gullies that can carry fuel to the ambulance. Do not use flares in an area where fuel has been spilled. Use orange traffic cones during daylight and reflective triangles at night. When a vehicle is on fire, in this case, consider the danger zone to extend at least 100 feet in all directions, even if the fire appears small and limited to the engine compartment. If fire reaches the vehicle's fuel tank, an explosion could easily damage an ambulance parked closer than 100 feet. When wires are down, in this case, consider the danger zone as the area in which people or vehicles might be in contact with energized wires if the wires pivot around their points of attachment. Even though you may have to carry equipment and stretchers for a considerable distance, the ambulance should be parked at least one full span of wires away from the poles to which the broken wires are attached. When hazardous material is involved. In this case, check the Emergency Response Guidebook published by the U.S. Department of Transportation, Transport Canada, and the Secretariat of Communication and Transportation of Mexico for suggestions as to where to park, or ask the incident commander to request advice from an agency such as ChemTREC, Chemical Transportation Emergency Center. In some cases, you may be able to park 50 feet from the wreckage, as when no hazardous material has been spilled or released. In other cases, you may be warned to park 2,000 feet or more from the wreckage, as when there is the possibility that certain high explosives may detonate. In all cases, park upwind from the wreckage when you discover that a hazardous material is present at a collision site. Park uphill if a liquid is flowing, but on the same level if there are gases or fumes that may rise. Park behind some artificial or natural barrier if possible. You'll learn more about this in another chapter.